What's up, guys? This is Demkeys, and you're watching APv1 Development Vlog 5. We are currently on day 8. Wait. Oh, sorry. We are currently on day 286, and I have something to show you. So, I've been working on the inventory system. I recorded this before as well, a couple of times actually. Sometimes I would just mess up the explanation, and sometimes there would be some other issue. And then I remembered that I'm not supposed to go into, too much technical detail unless someone actually asks how so and so system is working. So then I decided, okay, I'll record another vlog and just give a simple explanation of how the inventory system is working. And as I mentioned before in the previous vlog, if you want to know how a certain system is working, just let me know in the comments and I'll explain it. So yeah, I have been working on the inventory system. This is what I have so far. This right here is the inventory system. It has one reserved melee slot. That's a slot for a melee weapon, and 4 reserved slots for ranged weapons. So that means you can only carry one melee weapon and only 4 ranged weapons. Now with a melee weapon, what's going to happen is, let's say you have already equipped a melee weapon. Equip in the sense, I mean, once you pick up a melee weapon, it's been equipped. So let's say you already have a melee weapon equipped, but then you pick up another melee weapon from the ground. That new melee weapon is going to replace the old melee weapon. So essentially what you're doing is discarding the old melee weapon. Let's take a look at that. So I've got 2 melee weapons here. I'm going to pick up the first one, and as you can see, the melee weapon's image shows up over here. So now our character has a melee weapon equipped. Now I'm gonna go over to this other melee weapon. Not sure if you can tell the difference, but yeah, you should be able to tell the difference. These are 2 different looking weapons. So I'm gonna pick up this other melee weapon now, and now if I open the inventory, you'll see that melee weapon. The other melee weapon, the previous sword looking weapon, has been discarded. Now currently I haven't, you can add items to the inventory, but I haven't added functionality to remove items from the inventory, with the exception of this, of course. With melee weapons, you're just automatically discarding it when you pick up a new melee weapon, but I'm talking about others. You know what, it'll make more sense once I explain the other part. So let's take a look at ranged weapons now. You have 4 slots for ranged weapons. I've created 4 different types of ranged weapons. These are all items, by the way. I'll explain the items part in a little bit. So there are 4 types of ranged weapons over here. Each ranged weapon has its own image, as you can see. So I'm going to pick up the first ranged weapon, and then when I open up the inventory, you can see the ranged weapon shows up over here. When I pick up the second one, it doesn't replace the first one, it actually goes into the second slot, and then third, and then fourth. Now what I plan to do in the future is, obviously since these are ranged weapons, they're going to have some sort of ammo. If you can't already tell, these 3 are 3 different types of bow and arrow sets. One is a crossbow, one is, I don't know, some normal bow. These are all just placeholder graphics, so I just drew something at random. And this is I think it's called a compound bow, and this is just a bunch of rocks. So all of these are ranged weapons, and they're gonna need ammo. You're gonna be carrying ammo for these weapons. So the plan here is that in the future I'm gonna add functionality to the inventory so that if you already have the weapon in this slot and you pick up an item of the same type from the ground, it's gonna show a number over here, and that number will basically be the ammo. So the ammo is going to increase as you pick up more and more weapons of the same type. So essentially, uh, you're not picking up a weapon of the same type. You're just picking up more ammo for that weapon. And when you pick up the weapon for the very first time, also that weapon is going to come with a certain amount of ammo. So yeah, there's that. That's it about ranged. This section right here is, well, don't look at the crosshair, look at my mouse cursor. This section right here is for other items. Basically, other items are pretty much any item that is not a melee weapon or a ranged weapon. So that could be some sort of collectible item, that could be a key, that could be an upgrade item, it could be anything, as long as it's not a melee weapon and it's not a ranged weapon. Then that item is going to go into this area. So I have two items. Of other type. One of these is an upgrade item and one is just other. What I mean is the item type for each of these items. One of the items item type is set to upgrade, and the other one is just set to other. There'll be more fields added as well, more item types added as we go along. But for now, these are just off the top of my head. I have melee, ranged, upgrade, and other. So yeah, I'm gonna pick up one of these items multiple times. And now when I open the inventory, you can see that item, or well, those items in the inventory. As I explained in the previous vlog, okay, I don't remember if I explained it or not, but you'll notice that none of these items are disappearing even though I'm picking them up. That's because I haven't implemented that functionality yet, because I want to be able to pick up these items multiple times, because I had to test the inventory system. So yeah, with time I'll add the functionality for the item disappearing and all. I'm probably going to make it look like sort of like the floating text effect. Like once you pick it up, the item will disappear and maybe the text will come up, like picked up so and so, and that text will just float up. Here I'm going to pick up the second item multiple times, and then you can see it over here. Okay, so that's it about the other items. In the other items area, I've given 50 slots. That's just a random number that I chose. I can increase or decrease it, but I felt for a start 50 should be enough. And including these 5 weapon slots, we have a total of 55 slots in the inventory system. Okay, what else? Items, yeah. So to explain the items, well, I've created a class called item asset. That class inherits from the scriptable object class, and so I'm able to create these assets. I'm able to create item asset over here. Once I create the item asset, I can, just a minute, yeah, I'm not sure if you can see this very well. Okay, so once I create the item asset, I can set a picture for it. That's a sprite field. I can give it a name, and I can also set the item type. As I mentioned earlier, the item type will, I'll add more item types later as the need arises. For now, this is all we need. Okay, so yeah, the item asset is created here, and then you'll have to excuse any vibration in the camera. Okay, so these items that you're seeing over here, the items that I just picked up, let's take a look at this item, for example, the first melee weapon. So if you see in the inspector panel, ignore the other components. Look at item script. Yeah, item script. It has a field called item asset, and that field basically takes an item asset. So that's one of these files over here. And once I drag and drop an asset into this field, then this script is going to be able to read details like the image of that asset, the name of that asset, the item type, and in the future more details that will be added. So that's the reason why you're able to see different images on each of these different types of assets. If I stop the game, then it's just blank. This I may change this in the future. I'm not sure how good of an idea it is to be loading the sprites, at the start of the game, as opposed to if they were already there. So I'm gonna see if that needs to be changed or not. But this was just, I just needed to start somewhere, so this is how I started. What else? Yeah, I think that's it. I don't know if I explained this earlier. You can add items to this inventory, but as of now, you cannot remove items. This is, of course, I'm not talking about the melee weapon. If you already have a melee weapon and you pick up a new melee weapon, you're basically going to switch out the old melee weapon. You're going to throw out the old melee weapon and pick up the new one. But other than that, so far there's no functionality to discard items from the inventory. I'm going to add that option a little later. Is there anything else? I have been, oh yeah, okay. I've been working on level and experience. Basically the level of our character and the experience. The functionality. Okay, I've been working on implementing functionality for the experience and level stats of our player. But yeah, that's pretty much it from my side right now. Okay, what's up guys? This is Demkeys and we are currently on day 293. I have some progress that I want to show you. I'm going to start with melee weapon damage. So earlier there was just a base melee attack damage, which would pretty much okay, so we have light attack, heavy attack, and then the combination, those special attacks. We have these different types of attacks. So based on what type of attack you are currently doing, the base melee attack damage value is going to be set according to that. And then what I'm doing is I'm adding the currently equipped melee weapons damage to that base melee attack damage, and that the sum of that is basically the total damage that is going to be done to whatever NPC you are attacking. So let's test that out. I have also implemented an HP bar for Billy Punchbag. Billy Punchbag's HP is 1000 right now, and once it goes to 0, the HP bar just fills up again, because I don't really want to destroy the game object right now, because the whole point of Billy Punchbag is to be able to attack the NPC over and over again. So once I equip a melee weapon, I can go and attack Billy Punchbag. And then here, well, first of all, you can see the floating text effect. It shows you the total damage that Billy Punchbag just took. And also I have logged it over here. You can see the attack combo used is light attack, and then the base melee attack damage is 30, and the melee weapon damage, that is the damage of the currently equipped melee weapon. Each melee weapon will have a different damage value. So both of these values are added together, and the sum of these two values is the total melee damage, which will be done to whatever NPC you are attacking. So that is uh, about attacks. Oh, I showed you with one weapon. Let me show you with another weapon. So I'm going to switch to this stick. And now when I attack, let me see if I can show you. I think it's this. Just a minute. Yeah, I think it's down. So should be this. Yes. It is slightly to the side. Yeah, there. So you can see the melee weapon damage is 40 for this particular weapon, whereas for the other weapon, the sword, it was 60. So in this case, the total melee damage is 70, whereas in the case of the sword, the total melee damage was 90. And this is just with the single attacks. Then you also have the actual combo attacks or the special attacks. So if I do light attack, light attack, light attack, then there's that triple L special attack that has even more damage. So yeah, I've implemented this feature, and also I have implemented experience and level. So D's experience can now increase, and once the experience bar or experience meter fills up, then D's level increases. So D goes to the next level, and then you can fill up the bar again and again. So let me just show you that. As you can see, Billy Punchbag's HP bar is low. So if I just do one more attack, basically Billy Punchbag has died, or let's say D has killed Billy Punchbag. So for killing another NPC, D got this experience, and you can see the experience meter filled up a little bit. So I'm just going to keep doing attacks, and you can see the bar filling up, and once it reaches to the end, then D goes to level 2, and it's going to continue. It's going to keep increasing. I haven't set a max limit so far, but yeah, eventually I'm going to set that as well. What else? Yeah, I think that's it. If I remember anything more, then I'll start the camera again. I really need to get comfortable in front of this camera, man. Or, well, even behind the camera.